Hey, what's going on, homie? Good to see you. I was just talking to your mom out back, lovely woman, and she was telling me that it's time for you to learn about the birds and the bees. So yeah, let's get Whoa, wait, you want to start a dropshipping store and learn how to become a millionaire from it? Oh my God, big boy over here. Okay, well, yeah, that just saves us a lot of time because yeah, you're not gonna have to learn how to do sex until you're in your late 30s, to be honest, because saying that you do dropshipping is basically coochie repellent. So welcome to the club, my friend. All right. So yeah, I mean, I would say I'm pretty qualified to tell you about what it takes. I am one of the very few people that can say after all these years I was successful at dropshipping. I made my money through mainly dropshipping. So yeah, I can definitely tell you over the last 6 years what I've learned, what I've noticed from people that do succeed and networking with those people, and honestly from coaching a lot of people and seeing the people that don't actually make it work out. So if I was to break it down to 5 things, I would say the first would be you need to focus less on the results and the flashy numbers and the strategies. Because with dropshipping, it's a great business model. It is something that will teach you a lot of skills that are very practical and transferable to other business models, agencies, sales. Almost every industry could use someone who understands how to do offer creation, how to scale with paid ads, how to build websites. I mean, all of these things are fundamental to running a successful business. Every single business has sales and marketing. So I would say, even if this doesn't work out, if you stay in dropshipping long enough, you're going to develop your skills to the point where you have a skill that can pay you 5 to 10 grand a month, and that you have for life. So even if you get into it and you think, oh, if I don't hit this certain mark in my dropshipping store, I'm a failure, that's just simply not the case. And if you're just solely focused on the results, that's where I tend to notice most people quit. The people that quit after 2 weeks, the people that quit after a month, they're always hyper focused on, I have to make money, I have to make money. They don't actually like the process. They don't want to learn skills. It feels like work to them. And that's why when you're only motivated by money, yeah, as soon as the money well stops, and even if you do, let's say, have a product that works, there's going to be bumps, there's going to be bad days. You're going to lose your motivation and it goes straight to the toilet. You quit, and then you start selling courses on how to do dropshipping. Either that or you get into crypto and NFTs. Not a bad play right now, though. So just remember, if you really want to make it, especially get to 7 figures, which is a mark reserved for only the elite operators, then you yourself have to become an elite operator, which means you focus on the boring things, which is developing your skills. And it's not sexy. It's not what people want to hear. Everyone wants their AI to build a store. They want to be lazy. They want to just automate everything. They don't want to do their own research. They want to make their own ads. And that's who you're competing against. People who have 0 skills but are so delusioned that they think they can have a successful business in one of the most competitive spaces without having any skills. And that sounds so backward. Like, you think about, there's a lot of people that teach dropshipping in their own way. And so many people just preach, you don't need to learn skills. You can just copy other people. You don't even need to learn how to do marketing. You don't need to learn how to do anything business related, but you can still have a successful business. It's like, no. Because even if you get lucky and somehow you do have a winner, you're not going to know what to do next. Because you don't know how to create new ads that work. You just know how to copy other people. You don't know how to think for yourself. You don't know how to optimize your website, how to do split tests, how to analyze your numbers to know what is going right and what's going wrong, because you've just been taught to copy other people. That's not how you actually build a business. That's not how you become an elite entrepreneur that's worthy of making 7 figures. You have to learn the technique, and then you have to execute. And when I see people focus on strategies, the reason why that's wrong to do is people believe there's some golden nugget. There's a quick fix that will solve all your problems. And that's just not the truth. You're not one testing strategy away. You're not one product research strategy away. There's no one's going to give you 10 products that you are going to be a millionaire with. It's not the case. You need to learn to fish for yourself instead of people giving you fish, especially when those fish are rotten. So how you actually make it is you realize that in business, any business, strategies account for about 10%. You do need to know strategies. But the way you execute that is about 90% of your success. Because I can give 100 movie actors the same script, and my Leonardo DiCaprio, the person who's going to get the part out of those 100 people, that one person, is going to be the person who executes the script the best. If you look at soccer, who's the best soccer player in the world? Obviously Messi. If you're a Ronaldo fanboy, then you probably just like him because you think he's attractive, honestly, at this point, because every single metric would say Messi. But Messi kicks the ball the same as every other lefty. He's been taught to kick the ball the same way as you. He knows the same amount about kicking the ball as you do. The only difference is he's kicked that ball for 30 plus years, every single day, consistently, getting that tad bit better. Not even 1% fully better. Probably a fraction of a percent better every single day, but it adds up and it compounds. It's the same exact way with business. Everyone knows the strategies. You probably even know enough if you watched a few videos of what you actually need to do to be successful, but it's boring. You try something out, it doesn't work the first time, and you think the strategy is what's to blame, when it's not the strategy. Especially if you're following some blueprint or you're following a coach who has had other successful students and has a process that has worked, it's just a lack of execution. But the beginner entrepreneur will always blame the strategy. They will never think it's me because I put all this time into this test. I'll put all this time into this website. Therefore, because I put time, that means something's good. When that's not true. I can put an hour into a website right now and it will perform 10 times better than you putting 100 hours into that website. So the time you put into it doesn't mean something's good. Don't ever equate that. Now, I would say other things to remember, because I know maybe I'm intimidating you a little, is dropshipping is still the best way to make money, especially when you have a limited budget. There really is not a lot of business models where you can come in with a few $1,000s, test some products, and a product can blow up. I've never seen a business model where someone, or just people, consistently take $1,000 and turn it into $100,000, turn it into $500,000, turn it into $1 million. A lot of the times for some of the most successful entrepreneurs that are our age, in our 20s, they started with dropshipping and then they eventually took the skills and used it to be leveraged in higher outcome business models with more equity and with basically just bigger long-term plays. But they learned the core fundamentals here. This is like the minor leagues of business. And I mean, even Elon Musk talks about this. He could have never done SpaceX when he first started being an entrepreneur. He had to have businesses that he started first, which I give him credit. I mean, PayPal is still a very complicated business, but there's certain businesses that just require less skill. There's a reason why 14-year-olds can do this. Because it's not overly complicated, but it requires you to be obsessed. And it requires you to love the process of getting that 1% better from every test. So I would say the second thing to keep in mind is don't underestimate the amount of work it takes. Now, that doesn't mean that the person who does the most amount of work is going to be the most likely to be successful, because there's a difference between being busy and being productive. Meaning, there could be one person who spends 8 hours a day on their dropshipping store. There could be someone who spends 4 hours, half the time. But if the person who spends 8 hours a day, and let's say 6 of those hours are on customer service, they're on order fulfillment, they're on basically the maintaining of the business, and only 2 hours are growing the business, which is through making new ads, new offers, new landing pages. And this person who's had 4 hours to dedicate to their business spends all 4 hours on the most high leverage task, which is growing the boat, making it faster, scaling the business, which again is through your ads, media buying, new creatives, new offers, CRO. And when he focuses his time on higher leverage activities that give you higher outputs and a better return on your time, the person who has 4 hours a day, even though they're not working as hard, is working smarter. And they're going to make more money in the long run. So there is a balance you have to play. Now, I would say right now, you probably have this belief that it only is going to take you 5 to 10 tests to be successful. And I would challenge yourself to realize you're probably going to need 10x that output. And Alex Hormozi even says this: people drastically underestimate the amount of work you have to put in. If you 10x or 100x the amount of work you're doing right now, you'll be blown away by how fast you get results. And I would say you have to pay your dues in dropshipping. And there's some cases where, yes, people get lucky, they hit on a winner early, and I would argue that's actually worse than paying your dues. It's worse than testing 20 products and then eventually having a winner. Because when people get results immediately, they make this horrible mistake where they mislabel their success as them having skills instead of realizing it was just luck. And when you mislabel luck as skill, then you think you know everything, that you don't have to learn more. You don't challenge yourself. So you stagnate. And then suddenly you're at 10 grand a day and it goes down. And then you try the same thing that got you there, that was lucky, and then it doesn't work out. And then it goes down. And then it goes down. And then you're back to square one. I've seen it with students that have come into my program. I've seen it with friends that I know in the dropshipping space. They become too cocky just because they had one success. Until you do this multiple times over and over and you have a repeatable system, you don't have your skills developed yet. Even if you hit a winner. So you have to realize typically you're going to have to put about 100 to 200 hours into this before you really have developed your skills to the point where you can consistently scale a business that's doing $1,000 a day. You can get to $1,000 a day by only putting in 10 hours. But to actually scale that profitably, consistently, maintain that, and keep growing the business, you're going to have to pay your dues. So what does that mean? Well, if I spend my time wisely, and let's say I work 8 hours a day, after a month, I can hit that. It's 240 hours. Now, most people are going to spend multiple months just learning and learning and learning, and they think and they trick their brain to thinking, oh, I'm doing work. You're not. Even watching this video is counterproductive to you right now getting results, because the most productive thing you can do is just taking action. It's doing the boring things that you're avoiding, that your brain doesn't want to do, because watching a video is much easier to do. Although we're on a FaceTime call and this is one-to-one. I don't know why I'm saying video. That's too meta for me. But it's just, you're gonna realize that if you do the boring things lead to exciting outcomes. And that isn't very exciting in the short term. And if you learn to delay your gratitude, or delay your gratification, I should say, you'll get so much further ahead. Don't just go for the quick strategy, the quick money grab, the quick seasonal product, because it never lasts. And a lot of times this industry does attract that type of person. But if you just think differently, that I'm in it for the long haul, I'm going to test products the right way, I'm going to be trying to get 1% better at these key skills, it will compound. And it will start to get results. And you'll notice from test 1 to test 20, the quality, the output, the flywheel, the feedback loop you're going to develop when you realize, okay, I've seen in the first couple tests, this was what was happening with my numbers, and that my website specifically was issued. Now we're going to try this. We're going to try that. We're going to try this offer. We're going to try this. That's when you get a system developed. This is something that's taken me years and years and years. I've done this for 6 years now. I've been coaching people for 4 years. This system that I currently have that's been getting students results. I mean, we've gotten 6-figure students, 7-figure students that I personally got into coach, and we now have a whole system developed that's gotten results repeatedly, consistently. It's taken a lot of time. It's taken applying it to hundreds of stores and seeing, is this replicatable? And then once we found out it was, then we felt confident to teach others. We didn't just have one store that worked like other people and then said, oh, okay, I'm a guru now, I know everything, because it's not repeatable. So first, I would say learn a system from someone who actually has successful students. And then once you learn the basics, the fundamentals, then you start to add on. But also realize you don't want to fall into the trap of trying a strategy out for a week, and if it doesn't work for you, then that means the strategy is bad. Stick to that strategy for at least a month. And I know you're not going to want to do that, especially when you're not getting results. But if this strategy is proven and you've seen the results, you've seen it with your own eyes, someone being successful and others that were in your same shoes, stick to it. It's just your execution isn't there yet. It's not the strategy's fault. Because the person who's starting bodybuilding for the first time is probably doing the same workouts as the person who is a Mr. Olympia, the Chris Bumsteads of the world. They're doing the same exact workouts. The only difference is someone decided to be consistent with it and execute every single day till they got better and better and progressively overloaded. And now they're ripped and jacked and pretty much on my level. What can I say? Hey, your boy's been hitting the gym. I got that creatine. I know I'm a stick. Got that Pete Davidson body. Now, other things I would mention, because I don't want to ramble too long, but in order to become a millionaire in any business model, especially dropshipping, you have to realize you have to become the person that is worthy of becoming a millionaire. And that is tough. That is probably the toughest thing you'll have to do. If you want to be a dropshipping millionaire, you're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices. You're going to have to not go out as much. You may have to end your current relationship because you won't be able to spend as much time with them. I know I've had relationships crumble because of that exact reason, where a lot of times your life doesn't align anymore. You have different priorities, and those priorities require you to be a certain person that has to dedicate a lot of time to that. Way more time than you were in the past. Because if you want results that aren't achieved by many people, if you want 1% results, you have to put 1% of work. You have to do what 99% of the population isn't willing to do. They're not willing to end their relationship. They want to be comfortable. They want to keep playing video games. They want to keep being distracted. They want to keep watching videos like this. They want to keep being on social media and stay in their routine. It's not comfortable to be on your laptop and on your desk for 14 hours for 6 years in a row, thinking about how to get 1% better at CRO and split testing. But you realize over time, that's what it has to be. That's what it takes. You're going to go through the first year maybe without making money. But if you're constantly implementing the right actions, as a byproduct, your skills will get to the point where you're making money. But you're going to have to deal with a lot of shit. A lot of ridicule. Your friends calling you a loser. Your parents not understanding what the hell it is that you're doing. Thinking that whatever business you're starting is just a fad. It's not real. Even if you're making money, they will doubt you. And you have to persevere through that. You have to be basically alone in a lot of cases. Now, there's some people that have business partners and all that, and I think you should, because it's a very lonely game. I've had a lot of friendships. I've had a lot of close relationships too, and because of the pursuit of greatness. And I know I seem like this funny, cheerful, that I don't take life too serious, but when it comes down to it and the cameras are off, man, I'm just here. I'm a hermit crab. I am your competition. And if you don't outwork me, God, you are screwed, because I know more than you and I can execute better. So what person do you have to become realistically to be a millionaire? Like, what can you actually do right now to get yourself closer? I mean, the biggest thing that helped me make over $5 million in dropshipping sales was addition by subtraction. It was taking the negative habits in my life and cutting them out. And I was addicted to video games in middle school, high school. I had no friends. I had no social life. FIFA was my best friend. I would buy FIFA packs like a degenerate gambler at 12 years old, and I would just live off the dopamine of winning FIFA matches. And it was depressing. But it was a system that rewarded you because it was challenging. There was always people better than you. You wanted to beat them. And it's kind of the same system in business. It's a challenging thing that you are embarking on, having a successful business. It's going to really test your mind. And if you can convince yourself that, hey, this is the same challenge. I'm leveling up in real life. I'm leveling up my business every time that I learn new skills, every time I get 1% better. It's basically the same exact rush. It's the same exact process. But I mean, video games are fun. I can't lie. I mean, I have my slip-ups. I played Football Manager, and I was losing a lot, so then I deleted it out of rage. But you're going to have slip-ups. But I would say if you're really going to be serious, addition by subtraction. You know the habits that are keeping you behind. Whether it's your phone, the dating apps. The dating apps, definitely. At least for me. Dating apps, video games, going out too much, whatever it is, man. You know you're not optimizing your time fully. And there's going to be sacrifices that need to be made. And if sacrifices weren't being made, then it wouldn't be worth it. It would not be a goal worth pursuing. So, outside of sacrifice, and I mean, I've gone through phases where I had to dopamine detox, delete my social media. I don't even have a TikTok account now. I deleted my Instagram for close to 6 to 12 months because you realize when you do that, nothing changes. You're not missing anything. It's just a big distraction. So if you do delete that, that's a good step, I would say, that you could take today to prove to yourself that you are serious, that you do want the best for your future. You do want to make your parents proud. You do want to make money, provide for your family, live a life that is worth living. I mean, you only get one chance at this, man. This is why I made this sacrifice to begin with. I didn't go to college. I didn't get to have a lot of the amazing experiences my friends had. I was sitting in this goddamn room, working. And it sucks. There's going to be bad periods, especially if you're not making money. And even when you are making money, you still think to yourself, man, is it worth it? And that's a tough question to answer. Seriously, before you get into this, even if you do, let's say you become a millionaire after 3 years, it's like, yeah, where do those 3 years go? Is it worth having the balance of living life and business? I would argue it's kind of hard to do that. I don't think it's realistic to have a balance when you're in this current phase of learning these skills, because there's a lot you have to overcome. So before you even do this, I would consider that it's not going to be just copying, pasting businesses and sitting around an hour and doing the rest of the things you always do. This is a real business. And if you don't treat it like a business and you treat it like a hobby, you'll get hobby results. But if you treat it like a business, then you'll actually get real results, which means you have to be dedicated. Now, switching on to other things. Some of the most successful people in the world, I would argue most, use a method called time blocking, where it is, I believe, proven to be one of the most successful ways to organize your day. So personally, I do have a journal, and how my process works is I brain dump every single day what are the things I need to do. Then I will put in to my little time here. So I got all the way from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I will label at what hour I need to do what thing. So it's time blocking. You give yourself a certain allocation of time to complete a task. And realistically, you should try to keep it to around 3 to 5 things. Most successful people really work on 1 to 2 things a day. That occupies most of their time. Now, they have the meetings, they have the little things, the little fires that you're going to put out every single day, part of being a CEO. But there should be some core things that you're doing, and it's the main things that grow the business, which is, in this case, with dropshipping, either product research, optimizing your website, creating new ads, and scaling your ads that are working. Everything else should be outsourced. The customer service, the order fulfillment, everything that maintains the business, that maintains the boat, should be outsourced, because that is not the best way to leverage your time. Now, if you're in the beginning, you should do it so that way you get a taste for what it's like and how to execute that at a high level, because you can't hire someone to execute at a high level if you don't know what that looks like. If you don't know what a high level operator looks like in that specific industry because you've never done it before, then you're going to hire the wrong people, because C players hire D players, D players hire F players, but A players hire A players. So if you get to the point where your skills are developed, in customer service and order fulfillment, and you know what it's like. You create your SOPs, basically just a doc that lists out how to do the job, and then you can train people the right way, then you never have to worry about that stuff ever again. That buys you back time where you can leverage it better. And I know for me, even this year, and when I was thinking about my goals, because I do want to make over 7 figures again, and realistically, when I really broke that down, I was like, okay, how am I going to get there? And I thought one step at a time, and I realized after going through the loop, it was through teams. I need to build my teams even deeper. I need to leverage my time better. I need to build more SOPs, more systems, more processes, hire high-level people, and that is how I'm going to get to that level. You have to think one step beyond what your goal is. And even in Atomic Habits, I believe a pretty big core philosophy that stuck with me was that you don't rise to the level of your goals. Everyone can set a goal. Everyone could say, I want to make $1 million. But you fall to the level of your systems. The systems you implement right now, the level that you're dedicated to them is what you will fall at. So if you have shitty systems and all you have is just a goal that you're chasing, you're never going to hit it. But if you have a system where you're focusing continually, not on the goal, not on the result, but you're focusing on 1% better, 1% better, 1% better, develop skills, then as a byproduct, you will get the result as a reward. But you can't be hyper fixated on the goal and the results, which is something we already talked about. Hopefully this makes sense. I mean, other things I would say in the whole topic of becoming someone that's worthy of being a millionaire, realistically, you can do things like obviously be making sure you're obsessed with this business model. I think that's just a given. You have to be. If you're not, you're just not going to really make it work. There's also morning routines, but I know a lot of people don't like morning routines, rightfully so, because some people go over the top with it and have 2-3 hour morning routines. I personally do have a morning routine where I try to get to my work as soon as possible. So basically the night before, I think it's really smart to write down what you have to get done the next day. I learned that from one of my first mentors. I paid 10 grand to, incredibly intelligent guy, Dan Henry, did over 20 million in sales. And his big thing was write out your day the night before. Then when you wake up, you know exactly what you have to get done. You know exactly what time it has to get done. So that way you can wake up, maybe check your phone, maybe pet your dog, do whatever you have to do to just wake your brain up, maybe get some sunlight. And then immediately first thing you should do, get some work done. Whether it's for 5-10 minutes, hit that first thing on your list, the most important task for 10-20 minutes. Then you can go eat your breakfast, do your routine. But just that, just the action of getting straight into work almost immediately after bed, you will notice such a big difference. So I'm not saying you have to journal, you have to do meditation, you have to do cold plunges, you have to do saunas, you have to tan your balls outside so you get more testosterone, that you have to shoot donkey tranquilizers into your bones. No, I don't think you have to do that. Unless you're the liver king and you're an alpha male. But it's all played out. You don't need to do any of that stuff. Real entrepreneurs are the ones that can get out of bed, and they're the ones that can get straight to business immediately. And a lot of times when you plan out your night before, guess what's happening in your brain when you're thinking and you're dreaming? You're solving those problems already because you're already thinking about them the night before. And you're thinking, okay, so this is the main thing I got to do. So in order to do that, I got to do this and I got to do that. So when you're thinking at night, you already have some answers ready to go by the morning. It really is a cheat code. Just understanding your morning routine a little better. And obviously little things, circadian rhythm, going to bed at the same time. For me personally, I don't like my phone. I have a terrible relationship with it. I can stick onto it for 8 hours, and that's not even with having Clash of Clans downloaded. Literally just Instagram, YouTube, especially YouTube. So I have to put it in a different room. And I have an actual regular alarm clock that I have to use. And before I go to bed, an hour before, I read a book. So that way I get no exposure to light, no blue light that keeps me alert. And it does serve a lot of different purposes. I mean, you get to learn new skills, develop, round yourself out. And then it also just helps you sleep better. So if you want to become a millionaire, you have to focus on your sleep. You have to focus on your fitness. You have to focus on your time blocking, your productivity, making sure you're getting the most out of every day. It's little things. It's little things. And I would say when you're working, I mean, big thing when you're put your phone in airplane mode. Don't listen to this. Don't do other things. Multitasking is a freaking lie. You don't know how to multitask. That has just been statistically proven. Your output for your time is just significantly lower because you're putting, instead of 100% energy into something, you're putting 60%. You're putting 50%. You're half-assing it. So your results are going to be half-assed. Now, can you listen to music? Sure. But anything with lyrics and words, you're going to be thinking about it. It's going to distract you. So that's why like these brain.fms, these lo-fi musics are really popular for when you're working, because it actually does work. It does keep you focused. So just little hacks here and there. And I would say realistically, the last thing, that helped me probably the most, obviously you have to be a problem solver. You have to be able to put out fires, because that's going to happen regardless of how prepared you think you are. No matter how many videos you watch, no matter how many courses you go through, you're going to deal with problems every single day. I still do. You're going to deal with customer service issues, supplier issues, payment processor issues, ad account bans. It's going to toughen you up. You're going to deal with some goddamn adversity, but that's good. That's what you need. A CEO is basically just a person who can handle the stress the best. When you sign on to be your own boss, you have signed on for just a huge life of stress. And you have to be able to control that. You have to be able to keep your cool. You have to have your composure. If you're not good under stress, you are not going to be a CEO. I'm honestly, even in this last year when I was 21, I managed 20 plus employees. I had to deal with situations where multiple employees I had to fire in the same day. Do you know how painful it is to have to fire someone whose family depends on this job and tell them you're no longer part of this team? Multiple people in the same day. I've had situations where clients have had issues, big issues with their websites, and we have to be there immediately and we have to solve it and we have to pull all-nighters. The amount of stories and things I could tell you, I think I aged probably 10 years in the last year. When you scale, the level of problems you deal with are much greater. When you're getting to millions and millions of dollars and you have big teams that you're managing, you got payroll that's $50,000 a month, and you have to hit it, and the whole entire business depends on you. If you can't scale your ads and make that money, you are screwed and you are on the hook. That is a different level of responsibility, my friend. And that's what you're signing up for when you get to $1 million. So think about it. You're going to be a firefighter. And really, at the end of the day, it's whoever can solve the most problems is the one who gets the most money, is the one who gets to be successful. Now, I'd say the final thing, and I'll make this short because I understand I've been rambling. Let me know if you even enjoy this at all. Is thinking you can do this alone. When I first started this journey, I was a naive young boy like you. I went down the YouTube rabbit hole for 9 months. I was learning from all the best people, which this was 6 years ago, so there was not a lot of people. Most of them ended up being scammers, in hindsight. But when I learned from these people, I learned some good things, but I never was successful. I tested over 20 plus products over 9 months and I went broke. I had to go get a job, make a few $1,000s again, save it up, and then try a second time after testing 20 products and nothing working. And what you realize is, and Alex Mosey has a great quote about this, but if you could do something, then you would do it. And Alex Hormozi said, if you could make $1 million a month, then you would be making $1 million a month. The only reason why you're not right now is because you're simply not capable. And that was my situation. I was capable of making $100,000 a month. I've scaled my own stores to over $100,000 a month, over $5,000 a day. But I couldn't do it back then because I wasn't capable. And it took me having to put my ego aside and saying that I don't know everything. I should be asking for help. It's not a weakness to ask for help. If you talk to anyone who's been successful in any industry, they always had mentors. I've never talked to one person in this game who did not have multiple mentors. Even today, I am still investing into coaching, mentorships, because if you keep developing your skills and processes, you will get to that next level. You're at a point where you're at level 1. To get to level 2, which is $1,000 a day, there's going to be a certain barrier and certain capabilities and certain things you don't know because you haven't done this before. You don't know what you don't know. You don't even know what's important because you've never done it before. So how can you know what to look up on YouTube? How can you know what topics are important? How can you know what scaling strategies work when you haven't done it before? You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's right and you don't know what's wrong. You don't know what bad strategies and information is versus what is good. So put your ego aside and understand that the hardest workers aren't necessarily the most successful. I've had students that have worked with me one-on-one, complete beginners, completely green, and after learning my strategies and cutting the learning curve, they got results. They scaled to $1 grand a day in their first week or two because they learned how to develop their skills and they learned what strategies worked, and then we kept coaching them on how to keep improving because it takes work to even maintain when you get to that level. Versus when you're solo, and I know if I was solo dolo the entire time, I would be a loser. And I know I'm currently a loser, but at least I have money. I would be a loser with no money. Who wants that? But yeah, I mean, realistically, dude, you have to leverage your time. Realize what is the best investment, and you're going to have to invest. Regardless, if it's my program or if it's someone else's, you're going to have to invest into something. You're going to have to invest into building teams. If you're scared of spending money and investing into building your teams, investing into your knowledge, developing your skill set, boy, it's going to be a long road ahead for you. So realistically, if you're just starting out, you need to break this down chunk by chunk. How do you get to $1 grand a day? First, learn the strategies, which is basically just the fundamentals and then getting 1% better through those strategies. And then it's just putting in the work, putting in the execution. And I would say if you really want to shortcut it, have someone with experience who's done this process before giving you hands-on feedback. Because I don't think there really is a faster way to learn something than just paying someone who's already done it before to teach you and monitor you. Not just teach you the strategies, because I mean, that's what any course can do. But if you're executing what a course does and you aren't getting feedback, then you're going to think you're doing it at a high level when you're really not. And I've had people who have said, hey, Ethan, I watch your videos, and then they join my coaching program, and I'm like, you clearly did not watch the videos because this is not what I teach. This is not how I execute. And they're like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. This is exactly. It's like, no. Having someone's eyes that are experienced on your store makes such a huge difference. That's what helped me break through. That's what helped me get my first winner. Because I thought my website, my ads, I thought my shit didn't stink. But the first mentor I had, Noah Brewer, told me, no, it does stink. Your ads are trash. Your website's trash. And I was heartbroken for a day. Then I swallowed up my pride. I executed what he told me to do. I worked on the things he told me to work on. And then I succeeded. But I would have never spotted the gaps because I didn't know what I didn't know. So, little man, while we didn't get to talk about the birds and the bees, hopefully you learned something from this. I mean, if you did, probably would like, comment, subscribe, even though this is a FaceTime call. So yeah, I definitely can't do that. And I would say, if you do want to link to this specific journal, which I would highly recommend, because again, get the time block and also prioritize your most important task for the day. I think this is easily the best journal and would be a great start for your entrepreneurial career, whether you're doing dropshipping or anything else. I think just time blocking makes a ton of sense. And I'll leave a link down below. I'll just text you a link. You know how it is, homie. Your family.